Welcome to Aiken This Week. I'm Emery Langston. Today I am being joined by Janice Jennings, who is the Executive Director of Joye in Aiken, and Dr. Sandra Field, who is the President of the Board for Joye of Aiken. Thank you both for being here today, and I'm so excited to be able to talk about what a unique event, festival organization that you have, and we're just so pleased to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Emery. We really appreciate this opportunity.
Well, I can't think of a better word to describe this than joy. What an appropriate word. And a lot of our viewers, I think, probably know this better as Juilliard in Aiken. So, Sandra, can you tell us about the organization and why the change from Juilliard to Joye?
Absolutely, I would love to. The organization was founded in 2008, and as many, I think, community members know, Steve Nafee and Greg Smith bequeathed the home, their home, Joye Cottage, in 1986 to the Juilliard School. But there wasn't a real purpose for the use of the house or a strong relationship with the school and the community. So it was Greg and Steve's hope and desire that by forming this festival and partnering with the Juilliard School, bringing students, faculty, and alum from the school to the community to perform wonderful music and dance and theater, that it would create a very strong relationship between the school and the community. So our first festival began in 2009, and we were recognized as Juilliard in Aiken. However, this past summer, the Juilliard School went through a change in brand policy, and they asked us to change the name. And we thought that using the name of the house, Joye, would keep the relationship with the school and still ground our strong community beginnings. And so Joye in Aiken is our new name, and I think people have responded very positively to it.
Indeed. Just such a multitude of meanings for the name of the Performing Arts Festival for the nonprofit group, and what it means and what it brings to the citizenry of Aiken and the visitors of Aiken when they come. So.
Right. We feel like it really strengthens our connection to the community. Joye Cottage, of course, was the birthplace of the organization, and it's kind of our spiritual home still. Yes. Many of our events are held there, so we think it's very appropriate to honor Steve and Greg and our history in that way.
Yes, very much. So you're kicking off a new year. We're right here in 2016. And we have some performances coming up already in January. So, Janice, will you tell us about the upcoming performance?
Yes, on January 16th at the Etheridge Center, we have a concert by Juilliard alumni John Brancy, a very fine baritone, and Peter Dugan, who is quite a renowned young pianist, who will be presenting a concert that's a World War I tribute in song to the soldiers and the families and the people who lived through the hardships of World War I. They're going to be presenting songs by German, American, French, and British composers, some very famous composers like Debussy and Ravel and Karl Orff. And we think it's going to be very moving. As I said, it's honoring those soldiers and everyone who survived the war. The composers, some of them were wounded in the war. One of them died in the war.
Oh my. All
of them were affected in one way or another by those hardships. And so the music, I think, is very representative of that and a great tribute to them. I think it's going to be a very engaging concert for the audience. They debuted it at the Kennedy Center, where the audience was extremely enthusiastic. John and Peter are just delightful young guys and very engaging, and they're going to have a lot of fascinating commentary that they present with the music. And I know at the Kennedy Center, people apparently were just whooping with enthusiasm, according to the reviewers, and asking for many encores. And so I think it's going to be actually a very lively evening, but very, very informative as well.
Well, that makes it truly unique.
It is very unique.
So many aspects of it are really unique.
Right. It's going to be very patriotic, I think, and it will be a benefit not only for our programs, but for the Aiken Augusta Warrior Project as well, and for all the great work that they do.
Absolutely. And so this debuted at the Kennedy Center.
It did, yes, in Washington, D.C.
Oh my goodness. So we are truly fortunate to have such a wonderful, unique program coming our way.
We are, and it got great reviews there. So yes, we're really looking forward to it.
How can we go about getting tickets?
You can buy them online on our website, which is www.joyeandaiken.com, or through the Etheridge Center box office, 641-3305. Either way will work just fine. We also are having a gala after party with an opportunity to meet John and Peter. Tickets to the concert are $50. Tickets to the after concert are also $50 per. The after party are also $50 per person, and they can be both be bought online or at the Etheridge Center.
Okay, and this is a one-night performance.
It is. It's a one-time opportunity.
There you so we need
very
to,
special.
Very special.
Yeah.
So indeed, to hurry up and get your tickets for that event.
Right.
Sandra, typically the festival, the performing arts events that happen as a part of Joye in Aiken happen in the early spring, and so this is kind of a kickoff event, I would say, for the program. So when is the festival's upcoming schedule of events going to happen?
The festival will be happening March 5th through the 12th. So our kickoff concert is featuring the world-renowned organist Paul Jacobs. He's chair of the organ department at the Juilliard School, and just a spectacular performer. Excuse me, and he will be at St. Thaddeus Episcopal Church. And then the rest of the week we have multiple concerts by wonderful Juilliard alum, and we're also featuring some very special artists new to us and new to the community. We have Amani Winds, one of the top wind ensembles in North America, and we also have an a cappella group called Accent, and they are, again, nationally known and a wonderful group of singers. And we are also featuring India Carney, who is a jazz vocalist and a finalist on The Voice. So we have some very exciting concerts on schedule.
And you have to utilize a lot, because this festival, I know a lot of planning, a lot of coordination goes into this. And so y'all use a host of venues throughout our city, because you mentioned that the kickoff is going to be at St. Thaddeus, and I know that some opportunities will be at Joye Cottage. What are some other venues that you use in the city?
We use First Presbyterian Church, St. John's Methodist, and the Aiken Performing Arts Center, which is the Aiken Community Playhouse. Of course, the Etheridge Center, First Baptist Church. Oh,
the Wilcox.
Right, the Wilcox.
Sometimes the Green Boundary Club.
Oh my goodness. So,
and Second Baptist Church this year will be hosting the jazz festival. The jazz concert.
Very good. So it really is quite community involved, and a lot of preparation. And I know that this is not something that we had talked about when we were talking about the show, but can you talk a little bit about what goes into planning this event? Because that's probably
how much time do we have?
Really.
But I know our community is so involved just by listing the venues that are going to be used for the event. But can y'all kind of talk about the partnerships and what goes into this event?
Sure. Well, we have, for starters, we have over 200 volunteers who help make it happen, who are on various of our committees. We have volunteer drivers who transport the artists while they're in town. The city does a lot of transporting of the artists for us. We have a formal memorandum of understanding with the city, which is very helpful to us. We have a committee that lines up the host families for the artists because, as I'm sure you know, almost all of them generally stay with host families while they're in town, which is a really wonderful aspect of the festival that I think maybe not everybody is aware of. It's different in that respect from a lot of other festivals around the country and around the world, in that the artists really, they come and they become very much a part of the community while they're here. They tend to be adopted by their families, and they adopt their families in turn. Sometimes they stay in touch for years afterward, and they're very, very attached to each other. I know the artists are always anxious to come back to Aiken after they've been here, and one of the reasons is that they do get so attached to those host families, I think, and feel that it's such a warm, embracing atmosphere that they're coming into. I know many of them have told us when they come back to Aiken, they feel like they're coming home, and they feel like Aiken is really their second family. So I think that's a very different, just a very different aspect here than you would find with a lot of festivals where the artists are just flying in, staying in hotels, and leaving again. There's a really strong connection that they have with us. So we have the committee that lines up those host homes. We use many, many, many ushers during the events, as you can imagine. Those are all volunteers. We have volunteers who help with
outreach.
The outreach committee is a huge part of what we do, of course. They visit all of the schools and talk to the teachers and line up really every aspect of those events, work with the venues. That's a huge responsibility, take care of the busing of the students, because we fund all of that out of our own monies. And so they have to work very hard with the schools to line all of that up. Who am I leaving out?
Well, we have another large committee. It's a production committee.
Oh, yeah.
So they're responsible for making sure that everything goes well at the venues that the artists have, all the production and technical needs that are required. That's a very involved schedule, and every venue has their own schedule, and the production chair is in charge of making sure that all the venues are informed of what the schedule is, rehearsal, when pianos will be delivered. The piano schedule itself is just a lot of work. I mean, believe it or not,
Yes.
the pianos have their own schedule.
Oh my goodness.
For delivery and tuning, and we have a team. Turner's Keyboard is our piano provider, and they do a fabulous job. But that is a very large aspect of the festival, and very labor intensive. So we're very appreciative to that committee.
Oh, yeah. The planning is truly year-round. We start on the day after, well, really on the day of, the day that this past festival finished, we began the planning for the next one, literally, and it continues at a breakneck pace all year round, but with the help of these 200 volunteers, as I said. And then this year, one thing that's different is that we have a festival curator. This is our first experience with that arrangement, but this is something that Juilliard suggested to us, and they handpicked the curator for us. Her name is Elizabeth Joye Rowe, and many of your audience members will recognize her because she's half of the very renowned piano duo of Anderson and Rowe, who have been to the festival many times, even I think since the very first festival. So they're among our favorite alumni. They've hosted the festival, the finale concert of the festival, a number of times, and will do so again this year. But she is, as I said, was handpicked by Juilliard. She's a very distinguished Juilliard alum herself, and she has been working with us and with the administrators at Juilliard to design the festival for us this time, help us select the artists and make the arrangements with them. She's been enormously helpful that way. She has, as you can imagine, connections all over the world because of her own professional career. And so, although most of the artists who are coming are still either Juilliard students or faculty or alumni, she has been able to recommend to us some artists who were from other conservatories that we would not ordinarily probably have had access to. But she knows these young artists, and because of their connection with her, they were willing to come. So we feel very, very fortunate that way. We've been able to really reach out in ways that we would not have been able to before.
That is fascinating, and I think that folks who have heard of Joye in Aiken, Juilliard in Aiken, hopefully who are watching the program or who have come to a performance, have a much better appreciation about to appreciate the performance in and of itself is one thing, but to realize what goes on to prepare for this is quite another and quite a feat. So,
right.
And what a connection. That is so very special that, that our performers get to stay with host families and really build that connection with Aiken. That is truly unique.
It is very unique and very special.
And every performer is asked to do not only a performance, but some type of outreach. And that has become a very important aspect of their responsibility and something that they truly enjoy and have often said, I'll just come do outreach if you want me to. If I don't need to perform, but I just love that opportunity to work with students in this region. And they're so hungry for this type of instruction and inspiration and motivation. So they just do a tremendous job in uplifting the students that they come into contact with and nurture their artistic soul. And we're very thankful that they all are super committed to that aspect of the festival as well.
Right. As is Juilliard, it's a very important part of their mission also. They're very committed to the idea of the artist in the community, the artist serving the community. Before they established this relationship with Aiken, their artists did outreach, and they still do, but they did it all in New York City. Their experience here was the first time that they had ever been able to bring their artists into a different kind of environment. We send them out a lot into very rural areas, impoverished neighborhoods often, where the kids don't typically have access to this kind of high-quality arts experience. And it's a wonderful experience for the kids, but it's a great experience for the artists too. It's something very different for them. It's a real learning opportunity for them. So at the 7 years that we've been doing this, we have brought down from Juilliard well over 200 Juilliard artists who have given about 150 public performances, but they've also done some 85 outreach events while they were here. That's a lot in 7 years. That's a lot of kids that we're touching.
Yes, a lot of impact.
Right.
And you can't. There's no value that you can give to share your passion and your joy with somebody else. So what a extremely meaningful experience this is, and a truly special program. And I think that is a great segue, our conversation up to this point, because Joye in Aiken was nominated for the very prestigious Werner Award. And this is a state award for outstanding achievement for contributions in the arts in South Carolina.
Right.
So can you tell us how this nomination came about? Because this is really important and very significant.
Right. Shall I start?
Yes.
We were nominated by two of our very faithful supporters, Z and Steve Hamoki, who have worked with us and, as I say, been very supportive for a long time of the organization and our mission. We were nominated in the category of arts and education. The Werner Award has several different categories, but we were nominated specifically for our outreach program and are proud to say that we're now one of the finalists in that category. So we're in the process of submitting a very extensive collection of supporting materials to build our case for the nomination, and hope that by March we'll find out that we have won. But again, it is the Governor's Award for Achievement in the Arts, and so the highest honor that South Carolina awards, and we're very, very proud to be nominated for it. Our outreach program is not limited just to Aiken, and I think that's one of the things that gives us a strong case for the award. I know that's important to the committee. We serve 6 different counties in South Carolina and in Georgia, and through our connection to the Governor's School for the Arts and Humanities in Greenville, actually we serve students from all over South Carolina. because we have students from the Governor's School who come down for the master classes with Juilliard artists every March. So we have statewide impact, and are hoping that the committee will see that and consider that a valuable component of our mission.
Well,
as we do.
I think it's an extremely valuable component. So, and what an honor. What a true honor to be nominated and to be a finalist. So we're going to be waiting very patiently for that
cross your fingers for
announcement.
us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Sandra, let me ask you this. You've been involved with Joye for about 7 years. And what do you think that the impact on the community, and Janice as well, the impact on the community? We've talked about so many things and how it reaches in so many different ways. But for the community, what would y'all say the biggest impact would be?
As an educator, of course, I first have to say that one of our primary missions is to have an impact on arts education within our region. As Janice said, we're not just focused on Aiken County, but we serve 6 counties. And we know that the arts are and should be a very vibrant part of the educational experience. It actually has a positive impact on overall academic performance, and we know that kids who are involved in the arts really are more successful on many levels. So front and center is our efforts to really have a positive impact on arts education in this region. And secondly, we want to provide the highest quality of performing arts to as many people as possible. So we offer ticket prices at a low price. We have many, many free concerts, and we really try to offer the best for the best quality for all, and I think that that's something other organizations can't necessarily do. So we feel very fortunate to be able to offer such wonderful opportunities for this community, and we hope that it will create a more vibrant downtown, a more vibrant cultural life, and make Aiken not only a tourist destination, but a wonderful place to live. It already is, we know it is, but we want to make it even more wonderful. And we've even heard that people have moved to Aiken because of the festival. They heard about it and thought it was so unique, and they may be coming from places where there was already a vibrant cultural life, and they want to always have that accessible to them. So we think that that's an attraction.
Right, definitely.
And I think, Janice, you can speak to the economic impact.
Yeah, I tend to think of the impact really in 3 areas. Sandra's spoken very eloquently about the educational impact, which is certainly very important. And then the impact on the cultural life of the community is very valuable as well. I think there are very few small communities like ours anywhere that have a connection with this kind of artistic resource, you know, at the very highest level of the arts. But then we also believe that we are having and can have a very strong economic impact for Aiken. Already, this is not a local festival. This is very much a regional and perhaps even a nationally known festival. Last year, we had people come from 20 different states for the festival week. We know that in 2014, when the festival was only 3 days, because we had the St. Matthew Passion as the centerpiece, which was just an enormous production, our economic impact just for those 3 days was well over $200,000. So you can extrapolate from that and assume that, you know, a typical 7 or 9 day festival, our impact is actually much greater than that. And as Sandra said, I think as we are able to market to a broader audience, and we're working on that all the time, and as the festival itself grows and becomes better known, our economic impact will, of course, be much greater. So that's what we're hoping, that we can really put Aiken on the map as a cultural destination, that it will be known nationally one of these days, and will create a very vibrant will help create a very vibrant economic climate here.
Well, I think you're well on your way. I think you're well on your way.
Thank you. We think so. We certainly hope so.
Well, talking about the impacts that it can have, do either of you have any specific long-range, long-term goals for Joye and Aiken?
I think it's to continue to grow our impact in all three of those areas that we just mentioned. The name change actually has been very beneficial, I think, in a number of ways, in that it does give us some freedom now to create a kind of a program that is broader than what we had before, with Juilliard's full permission and encouragement. We're now able to bring in these artists that I mentioned who are not necessarily from Juilliard, but who are still among the very top young artists in the world. It might ultimately give us the opportunity to expand even into other kinds of artistic expressions. We already featured not just music, but dance and drama. There's a possibility sometime that we could have a fine arts component also, or something else that we haven't even thought of, perhaps. As I said, we want to continue marketing it with bigger and bigger names as our headliners. We actually hope to be able to announce some exciting plans for a headliner in 2017, but we can't quite talk about that yet.
That's right. Believe it or not, we are working on 2000.
Oh, I believe it, from what everything y'all have said.
Yeah, so I think it's just going to get bigger and more exciting every year. And Sandra, you may have some things to add there, but we feel like it's more and more established and more supported by the community every year. Yes. And I don't think it's going anywhere but up.
No, I agree. If somebody from the community wanted to get involved, how would they go about doing that?
Well, they can always get in touch with me. Yeah, I just I've had a lot of people calling this week, actually volunteering to be ushers, which is wonderful. So we're just kind of keeping a list right now of those people, and our volunteer committees are in the process of figuring out how many people they're going to need as drivers, as host families, as production volunteers, and so on. So, so we'll start, allocating volunteers to those committees as we go along. So, yeah, if people would just get in touch with me, they can check the website, and my email address is on there, or give me a call at our office number, which is 226-0016, and I'll be happy to line them up.
Well, it sounds like you've got a place for about any type of volunteer.
We do.
We do, but it's also helpful to know what area they have most interest in.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
You definitely want to put somebody in a position where they can excel and really help the program and the festival and the event wherever they might be placed.
Right.
And enjoy it.
And enjoy
it. It is work, but it's fun work.
It is. Exactly.
As we're wrapping up today, very briefly, are there any particular memories that either of you have that stand out as a moment with a performance, with dealing with the outreach program? Is there anything that y'all would like to talk about?
I know, Sandra, you had a moment that you wanted to mention.
I did, because sometimes we look at the festival from the audience perspective or from the student perspective, but we don't necessarily hear or see the artist's perspective. But we had a young baritone, Tobias Greenhall, come to the festival his freshman year at Juilliard. And Greg Smith had asked the vocalist to perform pieces from the Brahms Liebeslieder waltzes. And so Toby was a wonderful singer, but a little green, and so he was pretty much tied to the music and a little shy about looking up or having more expression. And so as the week progressed, we talked to Toby and said, it might be good to look out a little bit, or he got more comfortable with the music. By the end of the week, he owned the stage. And I feel like, our audiences are so appreciative, and they express that, and they give the artists such support that they feel that and become more at ease and more confident and freer to express themselves. So as I said, Toby owned the stage by the end of the week, and he came back successive years and just grew into an amazing performer, and he's now in Vienna. He has a 2-year contract with the Vienna
wow.
Opera, so we're quite proud of him.
Yes.
But we saw him kind of grow up, and this festival is an opportunity for those students to really come to a place where they can perform and feel safe.
Right.
Like they don't have the critical critic, the New York critic on their shoulder.
Sure.
So-
They can come down here and just really express themselves.
Right.
What a unique experience in being able to see that artist grow. So many, I know, wonderful memories, so many wonderful opportunities that are upcoming. We are so excited about the program on January 16th, so we hope everybody will get their tickets for that.
Absolutely.
And then look forward to that first week in March when we will have the Performing Arts Festival of Joy in Aiken. So,
Right. And priority ticket sales for patrons will begin January 20th, and then tickets will go on sale to the general public February 1st.
so we're just very close
We are
to being
close,
able to,
yes.
to get those
Right.
tickets.
Coming right up.
I have learned so much today about Joy in Aiken. Thank you, ladies, so much for being here.
Thank you.
We thank you for being with us today for Aiken This Week, and we'll see you next time.